Okay, we're live.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, well, we can't find anything.
Just a CCTV.
Here you go. I've got it. No, I sent it out. I sent it out, but I didn't get a response from the I have of yours. And I sent on March the 9th. Maybe I was looking at the wrong time.
Well, let me.
Yes, you did.
Oh,
I think.
good.
Wait a minute. My suggestion, just find them. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I mean, apart from Bob very kindly pointed out I had completely the wrong date at the top of the minutes, but I have resolved that one. Okay, so it was the 6th of March and not the 2nd of January.
Okay.
Lorna wasn't at the meeting, so that's been eliminated, and we started at 7:03. Minutes for February's meeting were approved with one abstention. Bob has corrected my English as usual, which is fine. And my spelling, which I love. He's the best editor, I know. This is the problem, I get lazy. So I'm only going to do the substantial things. I'm not going to go through every single one of my spelling mistakes,
fine.
okay?
I may have not had anything substantial there.
So on the Green Communities grant, the destratification funds, the final firm quote was due on Friday. Transfer of funds between projects from EVC to destratification funds. It isn't from the EVC though, it's from the anti-idling.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say?
Yeah.
Please.
Oh, well, my mistake. Thank
Okay.
you. I wasn't.
That's
thinking
okay.
That's right. Okay.
It gets very complicated. I've just written a report, I know. Okay, I'm just going through. I got confused with kilowatt hours and stuff like that. On municipal solar, it was the paving will be renewed during this contract. The school facilities manager will be the project coordinator. On the transfer station, the canopy layouts have been changed to a quadrangle along the edge to allow for overhead spaces for the dumpster transition. And on item 7, it was Nathan Brown suggested the money saved from these projects be designated to energy efficiency and renewable energy projects. It's the addition of the and renewable energy. At the end of long-term goals, we're going to add this presentation should be presented to the Board of Selectmen and Bob Zog to organise a presentation date after the town meeting. On item 4, the update to the heat smart transition. It's been rewritten to continuing to meet and discuss heat pump promotions, including heat pump water heaters. And the 3rd Carlisle candidate should be having a free heat pump installed shortly. I think we know that's got to be updated. It's a bit like Brexit.
Well, that's that was the status as of the meeting. So,
and the website should say Debbie Bentley to check with Jen regarding the integration and maintenance of town web pages. Once the web task force has agreed its contents, and that was it.
so mostly editorial.
It was all my
All
bad
editorial.
spelling usually.
No.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Does anyone? I know that was a lot to hear, but does anyone have any questions on that? Any additions? Are we?
Okay.
Do we have entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Can I vote that we
Yes,
approve the
second.
minutes that you amended?
Sure can. You sure can.
Do we have a second?
I'll
Do we have-
second it.
Okay. All those in
All
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we have approved the minutes from the last meeting. Great, thank you. Okay, we have quite a bit to cover tonight, and Green Communities is an important one. I think, Bill, it probably makes sense for you to sort of take the lead on most of this stuff. Whatever order you want to go in is fine.
Okay.
And Debbie, you probably have a couple things you want to mention on the status of the quarterly report, I imagine, but.
And the electric vehicle charging station.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, okay.
Between us, we can do a duet on that one.
Let's start with Bill then, thank you.
Okay, so let's start with the D-Strat fans at the school.
Yeah.
Guardian came back with two bids and 2 quotes, I should say. And each one of them was to do the project as was submitted, and the second one was to give us a quote on doing it as submitted, but tying it in with the school building management system so it's controllable,
Okay.
instead of just on or off. Unfortunately, the amount of money that was to make it automated was higher than the amount of money we'd be able to get from the police D-Strat. I mean, from the police excess funds.
What was it?
Here they are right here, so I want to hand them out. So
Right.
we have these are quotes, Bob, you can take it. That's just the first. The first one is $24,275, which is the project as is. I wrote him back a message saying that is not what they submitted in
Exactly.
communities. It's a little bit less, and he never responded back to me. So
We got less than that, or there
How much
it was
is
less than that. It was,
our grant is less than this.
yes.
That's what I was going to say. I didn't ring a bell, but
Right. So
It's about 20, right? How many?
it was 23 something. I have it right here. It was 23,368.
Okay.
So I mentioned it to him, but he never responded back. So they are very hard to deal with. So anyway, so in order for this to take place, we would need to coordinate with the state and
Yeah.
ask them if we could use the excess funds to move it over to this project. And also at the same time, we would need to request an extension of time on the grant money, because the way these people
Yeah.
work, I can't see them getting it done April vacation,
Yeah.
which is in 2 weeks.
right.
So that is the comment. The second bid is right here. I'll send it around. This one was to hook up the BMS system, and that's $33,484. And that's kind of out of reach for us, I think, unless there's some dollars.
we only used 525 of the 14,000 for the anti-idling device.
Right, we have 14,700 left.
14.
I ran that in numbers here.
That's
So-
how we have 14,
And we had a little bit, looks like we might have a little bit left over from the LEDs at the
LEDs.
school.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was
Of
enough.
like 12,000.
Yeah.
You serious?
Yeah, that's why I sent in the
about 12,
report. I
yeah.
didn't realise it was a big issue.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have about 12,000. Just let me pull it up. And I wanted to check that with Basu, that's why I sent it to Basu, because I'm like, wow,
I think about 12 something.
it
Yeah,
was.
because there was a couple of lights that
Right.
were eliminated.
Yeah.
They couldn't get to.
Right.
So we have 12,000 from that, and we have 14,000.
So we could do the.
26.
And it would be so much more sensible to switch it in with the building management system.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
it's almost like silly doing this
Yeah.
without it.
So here's the thing: is I guess Bob or somebody needs to coordinate that with Neil or Jane.
Bob's leaving,
Well,
so he's going to have to.
so
You might have to delegate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the good news is that, as I mentioned before, Tim has asked us to go through either John or he to do these communications.
Right.
And I think that's actually exactly as it should be, and someone in town hall should be
Coordinating.
coordinating and leading the effort and coming to us when they need our inputs. Now, let's see, that's kind of aspirational a bit, but for right now. So I just want to make sure I have the right numbers. Okay, I'm not up to date then on something. So
Well,
this
we
is
have
the-
to complete the quarterly anyway, so that maybe we can come and catch this in the quarterly.
Well, what would be great is if we could get some numbers on the board so we could all see them, because it's sort of hard to keep track of all the numbers in our head. So we had,
We had We had $14,200 from the police.
Yeah.
Actually, we had $14,200 originally given to us by the state for the grant for the D-Strat fans. And there's $13,020 left over from the state, from the police. I have the email right here.
$13,020.
$20. So if you add, so if you add those together, this is from Claude, from Chief Fisher to Claude.
Yeah, but we've actually got the accounts from the town, and they've only taken on the police.
He said we expect one bill for $525 for the unit being installed this week.
Yeah.
We have one other marked car that could use a system estimated $525. We have no other further plans. Subtracting $1,050 from the $14,520
That's
leaves us
13.
$13,020.
I've got 13,470 is what we should have had left over.
Yeah, that's what he says here. That's what I'm following.
I
his
know. I'm
budget.
just saying what
Yeah.
because the original grant was 14,520.
Yep, and he's spending $1,050 out of it.
But he's not. We've only had
Yeah.
a bill for 525.
Correct, and he's going to be doing one other car. He says here in this email.
When was that dated?
Down
Well, let's
the
not
bottom.
worry. It's only 525.
Okay.
We're not shouldn't be worried about it.
3,319.
Round about. I got more because I've got.
So if you take out that
Yeah.
500 something, it comes out to be.
No, it doesn't actually, because I've got 14,520 minus
should-
1,050.
Yeah,
So it's
Which leaves
13,995. Right.
13 something.
Well, I'm doing it. I got
It's
an
not
Excel
completed then.
spreadsheet.
This project's not
Yeah.
completed.
Right.
I've got.
That's just as well we
It's-
picked it up because I've got it as completed.
That's why.
Can we check with?
It could use the system.
It could. He hasn't said it
Could,
is,
he
and
hasn't.
we haven't had
Yeah.
it invoiced.
But if we have dollars from the other one, that
Yeah,
we can move forward because
I know. So I'm just, it's more that the report. I've said it's completed and it's not. So we have to.
Well, I don't know which number is correct. I have not heard that the police have decided to go ahead with another car. It says
Well,
they
that's the
might.
memo
might.
I said.
Yeah.
and they need to move fast now because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
So
So
Claude,
why
did
don't?
you hear anything from Chief Fisher on that?
And
Haven't
at
heard anything.
to tell you the truth, at 525 a car, if that's what it costs, then we can take that money out of our rolling fund because it's so little. We can't.
Well,
We're
we're
waiting.
Okay.
Wait
We're waiting on this.
Hold that thought,
Yeah.
Deb.
That imaginary
We have to
virtual
be-
rolling fund that we haven't quite
we have
appeared
to be a
yet.
little bit careful.
Yeah.
We have to be
Yeah.
a little bit careful.
But even yeah.
But
I mean,
if you have that much money left over from the school, because I haven't been following the school one, it's immaterial.
okay,
Yeah,
right.
No, I have
Okay,
not.
I'll go back to the school. Right. Okay.
I think it's 12 something, 12.
right.
Now,
So
the D-Strat fans were 14,200.
200.
Now,
14,
I have
200.
not seen an invoice on that.
Because they haven't done anything yet, and that's what this quote is.
yeah,
This-
exactly.
These two quotes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was the award amount.
Right.
Now I'm getting mixed up. Okay, so what was the other project we had money left over?
We have the school lighting.
School
We have
LED.
697.
No.
No,
No,
12
no, no,
something.
no. Hold
Now
on.
hang on. It was I want to check my numbers here. We had 87,745 award. Is that right?
Right here.
We have the award was 87,745. The EverSource rebate was 11,556.
But that's not our money.
I
That goes
signed it.
directly to them.
I signed an invoice
So
for
that means that-
87.
No. So that means the total allowed in this project in application, in what we applied for in the application for green communities was 99, because we always have to be under the 100,000. We were at 99. We expected the cost of the project to be $99,301.
$394. But
All right, you got 4, I got 1. We're doing good. Well, it doesn't matter.
I have it right here.
The projected, anyway, and the total cost of the project has been 87.
744.99.
Yeah.
Now hang on. That was
So that's
Let's-
including the EverSource rebate.
if it is, than the vendor made out, because I signed an invoice from the vendor for $87,047.27.
Correct. Does make sense.
Oh, you're
You
saying
should-
that
you-
Eversource rebate should be taken out of that, right?
I don't
Should
know
have
where
been.
the
No.
Eversource
No, no,
rebate
no,
was.
no. The total project for the vendor to complete the project was $99,394.
Right.
Green Communities gave us $87,744.99.
Right.
Okay, and that $11,555 that was coming from Eversource is going directly to AECom. That's
Which
how
doesn't
we
come
always
to
do
us.
it,
Doesn't come
so
to
that
us.
the town doesn't have to involve in any paperwork.
Right.
So we really got from Green Communities $87,744.99. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the dollar amount. So how much did they not install then?
Well,
Of
then
that
it came
87?
down to $700. It's only $700.
It's $700. That's
Okay.
It's actually
$697.73.
It's almost dead on 700. It's 600. Yeah.
So you only have $700 in excess.
Sorry.
Okay,
Ah,
which is
All
fine.
right.
All right, so we get $700.
So why did we put that in the?
that Eversource rebate goes to them directly, you know.
Right.
That
Goes
should not be
directly.
added as savings. That goes directly to them.
And that's the deal we
Which is
have with,
fine.
which makes it easier
So
for
they've
the town.
already. What's happened is I thought they hadn't. You know, the project actually did cost 99.
Yes.
Yes.
But
But
it
they
didn't-
only billed us for 80.
Exactly.
87.
Right.
Is
Exactly.
the answer.
And that's how all AECom
All
projects
pro-
work.
Yeah. So they understand it's actually only 700, which is what it was 699, which
Right.
is right.
So if that's the case,
Just so, these are the numbers, may not be up to date, but I've been tracking the award amount and what I've actually approved on invoices, and this is
Right.
all I've got so far.
It gets confusing because sometimes it's like AECom always take the other sources and just bill us.
Yeah, well, I'm not even considering
Yeah.
that. I'm just looking at the award amount and the amount invoiced, and however the rebates work.
we don't
It's
never want to
fine.
go over the the green communities money.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's,
So sorry. So we are going to have to go back to the policeman. So we've
But
only got
that's-
700.
but that's still not
and
enough.
Yeah.
That's still not enough, so,
14,692 is what I have for leftover funds that are not allocated.
so it's, yeah, okay, so that'll give us a total of, if you add 14,200 to that, which is what we got from the D-Strat fans for the school, it still won't make
Why?
the quote of
So it's
30.
got 23, and we have
23,368 plus whatever, 23 plus whatever Bob just,
Well, this is 33,
yes.
and that's
so you
24.
need
We have
$7,000 more, and we don't have that.
I'm confused.
Mm.
We have 28,900 roughly,
Right. To do the D-Strat fans.
and we need the
it's-
33.
And they wouldn't come down, I talked with them, they wouldn't come down on the $33,000 price, so my recommendation would be is to do the D-Strat fans, and then maybe next year, or the school themselves, if they have some extra money, they could hook them up to the BMS, but at least they're there, and then they're installed, and they can be working manually.
Yeah.
That's my thought. And let's get the hardware in. It's a similar thought that I have on the charging station. Why don't we just buy the charging station and store it?
Just don't talk to me about the charging station.
I hear ya.
Hold on, yeah.
All right, but anyway, let's stay with the
Okay.
school.
Yeah, just keep on that one. Yeah, that one, yeah.
So that's would be my recommendation, and then with that would be that we needed to, coordinate with the state to move the funds, to fund it. And they may have a problem with this quote of 24,275 because it's different than what they originally submitted in the Green Communities. I think
and it's meant to be identical.
and we have a contract with them. We haven't signed this contract. We have a contract with them for the original Green Community signed by Guardian.
with exactly the same thing.
Exactly. So that's the one that I'm going to ask, if we approve it, we would ask Tim to sign and get back to Guardian, not this one.
Well, yeah, except they usually have an expiration date on them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it did or not. If they have any.
It's only a small amount. It's like,
I mean, inflation is, from what I hear,
Yeah.
inflation in construction these days is pretty high.
steep. But still, we still have a contract with them. The town has a contract with them to hold their price. This is the first vendor that's never held their price.
All pricing is valid 60 days, that's what it says in the current one,
Right.
so, I mean.
Well, and the other option would be is do nothing, just let it go.
No, for the moment, maybe let's assume that it's gonna cost the 24,275, but, we certainly have the money to do that, and,
If the state approves the movement of it, the money.
if the state approves the movement of the money, so, does that make sense? Makes sense to me, what Bill's proposing.
I think we can proceed, if, if we're allowed to swap the money over. I don't think they're going to question
Okay, so
$1,000.
I'll make a motion then that.
Well, maybe we can wrap a couple things into this motion and do it in one fell swoop.
Yep.
What do you think?
Okay.
So first we have, let's start the wording of the motion. It's going to start out by requesting that we, do we have to get the numbers exact in this?
Yeah.
So we're going to okay, let me see what the numbers are then. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so we need to move 10,075 from the police vehicles leftover money.
Right.
10,075 from the anti-idling project to the D-Strat project.
How much was that, sorry?
10,000.
10,075.
The police station.
So, and the other thing that maybe we could bundle with this motion is that we request an extension on our contract, which is up May 31, and we have to decide how much time we're going to ask for and give just a short explanation, I think. My recommendation is that we give it a significant amount of time. There's no point in extending it twice.
I agree.
I would
We're
say
not doing a Brexit.
Yeah. And go to like.
Let's just go to the EU for the biggest time frame we can get.
So at least 6 months, I would think.
Yes,
You know,
please.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just this. Well, we'll update you. Well, maybe we should come back to the time frame after we talked about the other issues we're facing.
When you talk with Neil preliminary, is this expiring funds that they use, or is it a couple of year money that the grant has? Because their money would expire.
He didn't say. He didn't say either way, but obviously he could not promise an extension. It's not his choice. But he said that generally speaking, they're very receptive to these types of proposals as long as we provide the information that they're requesting. And it's so all he said is we need an updated Excel. We have a grant table issued with our contract, I guess, and we have to update that Excel table.
Yeah. Okay.
Give a verbal description, and then this is actually what we need for shifting the money.
Right.
But along with that, we need to give a request for the extension. what I don't know if there's any downside for asking for 12 months, but, you know, at least, it should be at least 6. Any other thoughts on that? So why don't we just add that we'll request a 6-month extension?
Yep.
And,
Is this just for this project, or are you asking for all the projects?
for the whole contract. So it would be it would
For all
include
the
the electric
projects.
vehicles.
Yeah.
Any projects that aren't complete.
Can we go through the other projects before agreeing on the time frame then?
Sure.
Because I think we need to discuss it in full way.
So what
Okay.
else do we need to discuss other than the electric?
Well, the
charging
town
station?
hall, I don't know
I
about.
need to do town hall and I need to do the school also, the second
So there's
project
2
of
other school, yeah.
So, could we just maybe make a motion then to approve, maybe do it in a couple of things?
Okay, we'll do 2 motions.
On the D-Strat fan project, I move that we request moving the $10,075 from the police to the D-Strat project from the state.
Sounds good. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
I've just rewritten it, sorry.
Okay.
That's fine.
I move that we move. That's a good one, isn't it? I move that we move from 10,075
station.
from the Anti-Eye League project to the desatisfaction project. Just make it simpler.
Yep, good.
Right.
Okay.
You got a second?
Is there a
Uh,
second?
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
So it's more that we move that we ask the green community,
Right.
isn't it?
Yeah.
We moved to ask the green communities to move the funds. Thank you.
So, okay. So it's move that we ask the green communities to move the monies from the anti-Eye League.
Too many more.
That's good enough.
We'll
Sounds
edit.
like-
Transfer.
doing
We
it,
transfer.
Sounds like
Transfer.
Brexit.
There we go.
Any,
It's a transfer the allowance.
Yeah.
Transfer
Right.
the $10,000 allowance.
10,000.
Yeah, I've got that actually.
okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
No?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think we're unanimous. Okay, good, that's underway. Let's move on then. Thank you, Bill.
Okay, so the next project we can discuss on green communities would be the HVAC improvements at the Spalding School.
Yeah.
It was $6,971 project. Contractor started doing his work, and there was a pressure sensor in one of the rooftop units that was not working. And the school was supposed to have somebody come out and repair it. They came out, repaired it supposedly. It broke the next week. And then the contractor who repaired it wants more dollars to come back out and fix it again. And the school's having a hard time swallowing that one. They figured, you know, you fixed it, you should have come out and fix it again to make sure it works properly. So what that did was it stopped our contractor from doing any work, and he's been sitting with his hands, sitting on his hands, I should say. I gotta keep remembering we're on the web. So what I did last week was I talked to the contractor and I said, listen, do your work, because what he's remaining to do is the front page, the page update on the BMS with set points and all. I said you could do all that work done and just set the point to be normal condition, because that was one of the requests we did when we did this project. You have a little checkbox that says normal, or you have a checkbox that says I want the CO2 level to be this much. And so that's what I told him. I said there's no reason why you guys should be waiting for this sensor to be fixed. You know, you can do all your work, and if you get it all done, he says, well, we want to make sure it works. And I said, by then we'll probably have the sensor fixed by the time you get your work done. We can do these things concurrently. So that's where we left it. So that project is probably going to need an extension. My guess is it's 75% done. That's what I updated you, Deb, on. And the punch list isn't done because
Obviously.
right, because both of them are 75% the project in the punch list, and It's kind of where we're at that. So we're gonna probably need an extension on that project too. If we're gonna do separate projects or just the whole grant like you suggest, which I
think
agree
we-
with.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
what they would want, just to extend the whole contract, which covers all the projects.
Okay, so that takes care of that one. Just an update. And the last one is the town hall, the new pumps and the new valves project, called control valves and a new pumps, variable speed drive pumps. That project in my mind is 100% done, but the way we submitted it, we didn't have it connected to the building management system. So the pumps are basically running like they were before, with a little bit of tweaking with me, so I've been able to cut them down some. But it would be ideal to have that tied into the building management system. And I asked for quotes to do that. The only thing is it's outside of our grant, it's outside of the payback calculations, so the green communities probably won't fund it because it's a new project. But that's where my proposal would be, is to use some of the money that the selectmen have given us generously, the $3,500 that we have every year, to enhance the system so we get the best payback for the town.
Right.
And what will happen is that when the valves start to close in the building, the pumps will automatically ramp down if we hook it to the BMS. So that if all the pumps are down, it'll be a minimal amount of energy, and we could be saving probably almost 50% on the pumps or more. I think it's going to be more. They're 1 horsepower pumps. They run at about 745 watts. If we do this and we have the BMS control it, there is probably 3/4 of the day that they're running that they'll be running at about 100 watts, 150 watts. So it's a big payback.
Yeah.
So with that, I have two proposals here.
So
Send that
going
around.
back to the green communities, it's 100% complete. We're just waiting for the invoice.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so
100%
that's what goes
complete.
into the report.
Yep, and I think I updated you.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make
Do you know the invoice amount?
Well, they haven't submitted it yet.
Okay, so we don't know the exact number they're gonna submit?
They should submit $31,117.
Okay. Because at
That's-
one point, Dan, I have a note here that Dan had thought there might be $300 left over, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
But that's fine if
Yeah.
that's old information,
Yeah,
so.
I'm not sure what the stand negotiation with the Guardian was, but from my standpoint, they're 100% done, and we owe them the 100% of the grant. That's, unless there's
So
something else happen.
that was their bid,
Yeah.
okay.
So what are you looking, good?
Can I ask a question about the variable speed, or the pressure valve?
Yes.
The pump, I thought that was supposed to be like on a servo where it would measure the pressure across the pump, and it would operate just at the speed that's required to keep a...
Yes, and what happened with that is that the contractor said, you have a problem with the downstairs loop, we should put the sensors there. So he put sensors, remote sensors, downstairs in the treasurer's area. So that's where we'll be measuring the pressure, because that's the one that we need to keep flows going into those coils downstairs. So that's kind of what this part is. And you'll see if you walk right into the Mary's, basically the office where the counter is, turn 180 degrees, look up at the ceiling, you'll see a little white box now mounted right near the ceiling. And that is telling you what the pressure differential is between the return and the feed. It also is telling you what the pressure is of the system. That needs to be hooked to the building management system. And then that will control, and the pumps also, and that will control, you set whatever you want to set by engineering, how much flow you have through those coils that you need down there, and what pressure differential you need. And that'll be your minimum set point. And then the pumps will just automatically...
So that's not connected to the pumps right now?
Correct. And that's what this is what I handed out. So let me explain what I handed out to you. On the second page was when I talked with BCM, who's our control people.
Yeah.
This is the bid that they gave us. And then I negotiated with them, and I got this first page, them down to about $3,000.
Okay.
So that's the contract that we would go with, is the $3,000 to hook these up to the BMS system.
Did they downscope, or did they just lower
They,
the price?
well, I told them I would do the engineering on the flow and the pressure setting, so they took out their engineer's time.
Okay.
Okay.
So with Claude's help. and
So your price is how much?
$2,969.
No, your price for you're doing your bit.
It's
We
what
should get it
that's-
off your taxes,
That's
you know?
what I always charge.
Yeah.
My going
My
rate.
usual rate.
What if you 35 less this?
So, so that's kind of what I'm proposing to do. Right now, if this doesn't get approved, right now, the pumps have a function that can be run in 3 modes. They can be run in a remote sensing mode. You set a pressure and it runs at that pressure all the time, depending on the load. And then an RPM, a steady state RPM mode. So right now, I'm running them at a 6 PSI.
Oh, okay.
Non-variable.
Right.
This will make it variable and save us more energy. But right now, we're still saving energy. We're saving,
Yeah, well, I'd
we're at
imagine
60.
keeping it at 6 is going to be
Right.
pretty good.
Right, but that's
It's
6
not maybe. Yeah, I mean, you could have a worst case situation where there is a lot of, where the only things that are open are at the far end,
Exactly.
and then you have a lot of pressure drop on the way there and back.
That's
and
why-
so 6 ends up meaning 2.
2 down there.
There, yeah.
That's probably
Right.
exactly what we're going to set them to. So, yeah, so it makes sense. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with this. So if we don't do the project, we're still going to be saving energy. If we do the project, it'll be tied in with the BMS. It's going to be remotely controlled,
Yeah.
and also we'll be saving a lot more energy and wear and tear. So I would like to move that we move the Energy Task Force funds, ask the selectmen to move the Energy Task Force funds of $2,969 and make it available so we can do this project.
Yeah.
That was my movement.
Do we have a
Sorry, you
second?
spoke too fast on that
I'm
one.
sorry. Just make it up.
Bill moves to request that the selectmen.
I've got that.
We
I
recommend.
asked, I just put ask.
We recommend to the selectmen to approve this project.
$2,969 from our from the Energy Task Force Fund. I'm not sure it has a specific name.
Right.
That free those funds to pay for this BCM controls tie-in on Town Hall. Something like that.
Yes. And Tim said, because these are expiring funds, we need the project moved right away. I asked Tim about this, and he says he could approve this project and then get to the selectmen for approval, or the chairperson, either.
So does that, are you saying as long as we earmark these funds, even if the invoice isn't paid by
Right.
the end of the calendar year, it's still
Still, it-
available to pay?
exactly, and
It's
that's what we're
because
trying to
it's
do.
been dedicated to that.
Obligated is what they used to
Been
call it, the
obligated.
FAA.
Thank you, yes.
The government,
Get
yes.
the terminology right.
Right.
Then obligated. Okay. So we're gonna recommend that the, actually, yeah, we're gonna recommend that the selectmen obligate the funds.
Right.
We can use that word.
Right. So I made the motion. Do I have a second?
Do we have a
When is
second?
he planning to do that? When is he planning to do that?
I want to do it within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we
have a
move
meeting
that we
on
ask.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We move that we ask the selectmen to obligate
Yes.
$2,969 for the Energy Task Force Fund, from the Energy Task Force Fund, to pay for the BCM control tie-in at
Yeah.
the town hall.
Good.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good enough. Yep.
And I'll support that in the meeting.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did we have a second?
Second it?
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 So we pass unanimously on that. Great.
Great.
Okay.
Collect them off here.
Good. And that's all the projects.
Is this,
Everything else has been completed. I've been involved in with Besu.
Yeah.
So the
So
only
this
thing.
is kind of a time frame. It's relatively short.
Yes,
timeframe.
and what I'm going to do is I'll talk with Tim tomorrow that we voted to recommend to the selectmen to approve this. And he said he would start moving on this. He'll make a phone
Good.
call to Nathan, I guess,
Mhm.
and then move on so that it can be done right away. Okay. That's it for me, I
Hold on a
think.
minute.
Okay, well, that was a lot. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
They're always fun, aren't they?
Okay,
Communities.
so
Funds.
Yeah.
I guess there's a couple things remaining. One is you're going to give us an update on the quarterly report.
No, and the energy, we're on the electric vehicle charging.
Or you want to get to the electric vehicle first?
Well, that's
Okay.
before I finish
Yeah,
that, because that's,
okay.
all of that, this has to go into
Okay,
the energy,
that's fine.
into the quarterly report.
Sorry.
Do you want to start, or do I?
You can start. Yeah. Oh.
Well, we're sort of working in tandem, and so Claude is doing this sort of a lot of the contractual stuff and working with the Eversource and the people that whichever person we choose to do the EBC or install, whichever company. And I've been dealing with getting the approvals through the town, which has been. Well, I thought the light, the street lights were difficult, but I had Alan's fantastic help there, and I need another magician, Alan, to get it through town hall. Or not through town hall, just through the town. It's incredibly
Frustrating.
we worked out. We actually sat down, and there are 11 different approvals we need from this project for a bollard. There's basically a bollard that's got some electricity in it. It's just mind-boggling. It just is amazing that we can make this project so difficult. It'd be easier to design a new school, I can assure you. So, historic districts, as you know, have basically said no to any wires under the road anywhere in the historic district.
Under?
Over. So we have to go under anywhere in the historic district, which is fine. That's their job. But it does mean that the whole issue of ferns has now sort of become much more difficult with just actually getting it to there. And then on top of that, the historic district started asking me about exactly what types of parking restriction, as in to stop the. They didn't want bollards and how
They want, I guess, a curb.
They wanted a curb, and I had to come up with exactly the kind of curb that we're going to deal with. I mean, it's when you look at Fern's back garden, it's like it's a bit of a back garden, back parking lot. I mean, it's not really high end, put it that way. It's
The other thing is Concord in their historic district has 2 bollards, in their in their historic district, the center of town, they have 2 bollards that are like almost 6 feet tall.
6
painted,
feet?
Well, okay, maybe 5 feet,
yeah.
4 to 5 feet. I mean, eye level approximately. Yellow and probably 2.5, at least 2.5 inches.
They're
in
narrower
diameter.
than conventional bollards, but they're
Yeah,
narrower than the ones in Bedford. But yeah,
But they're quite
They're much tall.
and there's 2 of them, and they're painted bright yellow. They're not. It's not green or brown or anything like that.
Camouflaged. Yeah.
They're not camouflaged in any way, and they're not made to look like old hitching posts for horses or anything like that. So.
because you're meant to see them, so you don't run into the bollard,
I'm
or
just
your
worried
car
about
into the
snowplow.
bollard before you hit the electric bollard.
Yeah.
So, so that's a little bit difficult. So then, as we discussed, our backup was that to ask for it to be installed here in the town hall, and so I went to see the selectmen, and it was like, you guys were feeling very chatty. The last
2 o'clock in the
meeting.
morning meeting?
No, that was the one that I was first thing on, and I'm sitting there going, this should be 2 minutes, yes, you can do it. And it was like half an hour later, I sort of emerged, bedraggled.
I didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition.
I know, it's just unbelievable. It's like, what have I done? Anyway. Because they were asking lots of other questions about that I couldn't answer. I think Nathan thought I was being a bit obscure, because they were asking about the canopies at the school. Why can't there be bollards there? And I'm just, it's not my project. I can't answer that question. So, and then I was being evasive. So, so it was. I thought it was approved unanimously by the selectmen, and then I received this letter this morning saying that it wasn't unanimous, which confused me slightly.
But it was approved, is that
It was
correct?
approved.
Yeah.
So that's what's key.
Yeah, well, that was, so it's approved. So we're going ahead, and I'm going to the, I'm going to HTC again on next Tuesday, and to get the approval for this one in the back. So it's in the back here in this second bay down.
Okay.
So hopefully, and that I am just going for bollards. I've just decided it's in the back of the town hall.
Mm-hmm.
We can add bollards.
Yeah.
And because of the snow plows and everything else, I think we have to do that.
When is that meeting?
That's Tuesday. So I think it's the only, I just can't, I mean,
So have we decided that we cannot do ferns?
Well, so with
Or we're
ferns,
still keeping it on the table?
trying to keep it on the table, but what's happening is I'm working with Al Windhall, and so he's in a situation where they have a mass DEP is kind of overlooking what they do there because of, I guess, the gasoline leakage, the MBTE or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
It's a DEP site.
Yeah, and they have wells, test wells, and things like that. So he wants, if we're going to go forward there, he feels he has to have his Mass DEP professional. It's not somebody who works at Mass DEP, but somebody who's recognized by Mass DEP as an engineer who's certified in this kind of stuff, to look at where we want to put it, and then to look at where all the other things are and say, yes, okay, this is fine, you can put it here, and you're not going to interfere with any other things that are going on there. But that apparently is going to cost them money, and so they're somewhat reluctant to do it, and they're sort of hinting, well, is there another place you could put this, because is this the only place in town, you know? So I don't
I
really,
assume this is not precedent setting, that they've been in a similar situation before, or not. I mean,
precedent in what sense?
in the sense that there must be other contaminated sites around the state that someone is asked to do something at.
yeah, but now we've asked them a favor to put it on their site, and now they're incurring costs to have it on, and they're not even getting the income from
Right.
the
I'm not
electric
suggesting-
vehicle
I'm not-
charging
yeah,
station,
but
yeah.
I'm not suggesting they don't have a case. I'm asking, is there any precedent they have that they're basing, who pays what? Who pays for it? And is there?
No, they haven't. They
The way
haven't
you
said.
worded
Oh,
it, it didn't sound like there really was a precedent. They're sort of asking, probing, or they could say, well, our normal procedure when this kind of situation comes up is this is how we handle it, and we bill you for $300 or $3,000 or whatever.
Oh, I don't know that they have much experience along these lines.
Okay.
You know,
That's why I was
is what I'm
asking.
guessing, but I don't know for sure. I can. So I'll read you the email. Here, the thread. Let's see. Well, he writes, Claude, I read about a warrant for an electrical station at the town hall. I think he must have read about your meeting with the selectmen, at which warrant articles were discussed. But so would this mean there's no longer need for the one at Ferns? I would wait to hear from you before I start any further discussions with our DEP site professional. And that was in response to our grant from Green Communities has an expiration, so we're working through all possible sites in the interest of completing the project before the grant expires. The town hall has been deemed by the selectmen as the least desirable of locations. Will it cost you to engage your DEP site professional? I guess that was my response to him. And then he says the site professional will require a fee if it is necessary to have him review a site plan. This site professional works for us, not the DEP, but he manages all the activities that the DEP will need to interact on. Do you have a site plan? And I haven't answered that question.
Well, we do, because we have the plan for the HTC.
Right, but I'm thinking
And that's
there's a
the-
site plan that's that was part of their perhaps their site plan review.
That is their site plan review.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's
So which I have sent to him then. So it's kind of, we're going back and forth, and it seems like we're in this loop where, but the gist I'm getting here is that he's not super excited about
Yeah.
having this. Now Matt has sort of, who is the one who has the most enthusiasm for this, has kind of stepped out of it, and he put me in direct contact with Al. And Matt's a little bit hard to get in touch with, so I guess the next step is for me to go to Matt and say, you know, what do you think? Or should we just say, because we have the other issue with now we have to go into the road, we have to
Well, that's the whole thing.
we have to coordinate with this smart streets, or what is it
Yeah.
called?
Complete streets.
Complete streets.
Yeah.
So are you gonna be coordinating with them? Because even if we do the town hall, we really should be asking Complete Streets to put a conduit underneath the road to Ferns to the other side of the.
Yeah, they are.
Just-
I've already asked.
Oh, yeah,
So
for-
it's for the future, because
Yep.
they're gonna need it anyway. We don't
No.
wanna cut up our nice new.
No,
center.
I've already
Right, because
asked
the
him
HTC
to
will
include
require
that.
it, so
Right.
why don't we put one there so that,
Yeah.
that's a good.
No, I've already asked him to do that.
Okay, good.
So that's sort
That's
of like
a good idea.
Tim knows that we need to have electric. The reason our backup for if we don't get it at Ferns is to then get an easement all the way through the site next door, all the way to the back of Centre Park, because that's where there's no
I'll go that
electricity all the
way. Yeah.
The issue we have there is, of course, now Adam and Beersley and
Adam and Beasley.
That's off the table.
Right, that's fine.
They're
So
not
we can
getting the
still
electricity.
negotiate.
They don't need the easement.
All right, so
Oh.
that's fine because
Well, how
no,
did that happen?
they don't need the easement for
They've got another way to get their funding without that easement.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about the Board of
carbon
Health
stuff.
Yes.
easement, which is fine because I was a bit worried that there might be a to and fro there. Though Eric had never implied that. So that means that we can still go ahead and get the easement for and a conduit to go all the way down to Centre Park, so we can get future installations there. Which I must admit, going back to the selectmen's meeting, they were not happy at all that we could go into Ferns.
Right. I wasn't at that meeting. I'm sorry I wasn't at the meeting. I should have been there to help
It's
you.
all right. It's okay.
Well, wait, I'm confused. They weren't happy that we went to Ferns,
Yeah, the selectmen weren't happy.
but I thought
took
they
a
also
green-
weren't happy that they were doing
They're
it here. Like this
still
was the
like the
place.
town
Yeah,
hall.
I was just I was
And
just
they weren't
like,
happy about the library.
it's just.
Seems like they're unhappy.
I mean, this is a little bollard with electricity in
There
it. It's
are
amazing.
individuals who are unhappy. We have never taken,
Speaking as a member of the
we
Board
have
of
never
Selectmen.
taken votes on this stuff.
They don't like the town
Um,
hall, you
There are
know.
some
I mean-
individuals who are always unhappy about something.
You know how some like it's a bit like trash. Everybody has an opinion about this electric bollard. It's just amazing, you know. You just
So-
it's
This
just-
is
Just one other note is, as part of our negotiations for the solar stuff, I did ask Amoresco to put down a conduit that could be used for future
Great.
electric stuff at the school. So if we get all this stuff passed and we get a new parking lot paved, we don't have to rip it up 2 days later to put in stuff.
Right.
So we haven't finalized on that yet, but they were kind of like, oh, sure, you want an extra conduit? Whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
1 inch.
So that was.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd
minimum
I'd
Well,
mentioned.
they actually said, how many as a percent of the spaces do you want? Because we'll drop more than one,
Yeah.
right? Or we'll drop a bigger one or whatever. And I'm
Right.
like, geez, I have no idea. That's like a complicated question. I was just like, can you do this? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, at the selectmen's meeting, I was at home by that time. We were like texting each other, going,
Like-
"Watch out! They were going to ask this."
But if you think about it, though, I mean, it really, the optics of putting in the solar canopy at the school without any charging stations looks a little funny in hindsight. So I think that's a really great thing, and I would, whatever they're willing to do, let's have them do it.
I would also say the school committee seems to be really on board with the stuff the Energy Task Force proposes. In general, I mean, they have constraints that they want to put on it and whatnot, which is
Right.
all reasonable. But compared to the rest of the boards you're dealing with, these guys are like, happy, right? And so perhaps just having a conversation with the school board or something
Unfortunately,
would be advisable.
Unfortunately, the school, we're not allowed to use the school parking because it's not a 24-hour, it's not 7 days a week, 24 hours accessible to the public because it's a restricted private.
And it's not our power.
So,
It's the school? No, it's not the.
It's it's Amoresco's power.
No, yeah, we wouldn't use their power. We'd have to
No, we'd use
draw
our-
back all the way back off to the
But
grid.
that is the problem, is for the green, that's the one site that is just like, we can't touch because
So we
the
can't
car-
use that
we
for
can't,
this.
We can't
school
use it for
parking.
this grant, because this grant has to be a publicly accessible 24/7.
Yeah.
Are
So-
all school lots not publicly accessible 24/7? I mean, what
Yes.
about the little tiny
That's got all
circle
res- I
thing
think it's
over on
almost all reserved.
School Street? Really?
Yeah.
How about next to Highland?
Put it at Highland.
All the people going to the Highland building can use it. I'm sorry.
So let's come back to, well,
Yes. Okay, so the town
so
hall,
we
going
don't-
back to the town hall.
But hang on a second, though, we're not finished with Ferns. So, we've got a couple of hurdles with Ferns, and is the Historical Commission hurdle a fatal hurdle, or is it still a possibility? I'm not clear on.
Well, I have to go back to them next week and say, having reviewed every single EV that has been installed, although I have to go back down and check the ones in Concord now they're finished. There's one more I haven't checked to see if there's any bollards on that one. Have bollards, and if they all have bollards, then I have to go back to them saying they have to have bollards and forget the nice little granite curves that they want.
Well,
Get
yeah.
And
them
is
to
that
put up a
okay?
guardrail.
I mean, you two are doing all the work here. I mean, so it's really up to you to decide
Put a
how far
ring
to
on
take
it, call it a
this.
hitching post.
There you go.
Well,
But
yeah, I mean
it
it's
is. My opinion is that Ferns is still a far better location for this, because some of the feedback that you got from the selectmen was valid in terms of the fact that it'll get less usage at town hall, at least in the short term. Maybe hopefully long term it will. So it's still, in my view, it's still the library would have been best. Ferns is second best, and town hall is third best out of three choices that we effectively have. And obviously the big picture problem is that we don't have a strategy around a town strategy for how we're going to support vehicle electrification. Obviously we can't deal with that fact under green communities, but that's the fundamental underlying problem.
So that would be a master plan issue.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Why one needs a master plan so we can
have a
decide
couple
where
people
the.
who are into those things, and I think it's also I'm not suggesting that the criteria that the Historical Commission have are inappropriate, but it's unclear where they come from and whose value system those criteria reflect. I just don't know, as a citizen of this town, how those things get done and how they're determined.
Is the Historical Commission meeting at the same time as the Selectmen's meeting
Yes.
next week? Okay, never mind.
Yes.
So they,
Just to,
but it
Yeah.
sounds like it's a judgment call as opposed to some specific policy that they're following, or not.
who, the selectmen?
No, the
Historical
Historical
Commission.
Committee.
It's a judgment
Commission.
call. It's on each site. So I'm now down to behind a big nice tree, and usually there's cars there anyway. So what is two bollards? I mean, they're not going to be really that visible. That car park is usually used quite a lot.
Didn't Paul Revere park his car there?
No, by bollards you mean like the tall
Pipes.
concrete pipe
Well,
things?
no, it's bad.
Steel.
No, the ones we had some in Bedford are only about
4 feet.
Sure.
three. I don't even think they're about three.
2.5.
They're not like the ones Trader Joe's are like medium ones, and then there's some in Concord.
Well, what
that
about
are
the
tall.
idea, I mean, only half facetiously, of granite hitching posts instead of bollards?
Unfortunately, granite will break if a car hits it.
Oh, and it'd
And
fall
I
over and
prefer
land on the
if
thing?
the
Yeah,
car
and
gets it
everything
done
will-
rather than having to replace granite. It's probably cheaper there these days to replace the car.
What about a steel pole?
Well, that is.
Inside
That's
granite. That's what they do, right?
Concrete. I mean,
Well, no.
I mean,
a
yeah. I
steel-
mean, put it this
a
way: I'm
steel
going to go for
pole.
concrete, and then
They
if
have
they
a
say
pole to
granite, I'm
hold
going to
up
have to
to
come
the-
back and say granite. I have to go back to
Oh.
them because the selectmen want to notice on there, and I will have to go back to the HDC with the notice to get approval for the size of the notice and the font of the notice and the colour of the notice.
What notice?
A notice saying you know, basically electric vehicle charging or electric vehicles preferred. It doesn't say you can't park there.
Another
And-
thing for the master plan committee.
And then there'll have to be a little underneath that. There will be no doubt have to be a sign funded by green communities.
Okay, let's
So yeah.
let's keep moving along here. So it sounds like, depending on how much energy the two of you have, this could take a fair bit of time to sort out.
Right.
And I don't, again.
Oh no, we haven't even gone on to the what the next bit is. Is we've got to choose a
sorry.
vendor.
Okay.
So we actually analysed the vendors last week.
Well, we have a quote from one, a very specific quote, and then we have sort of general pricing information from another vendor. The vendor that seems to be most prevalent in the area, Concord and Lexington, Chelmsford, is this Charge Point. And
Were they the original bidder or not?
yeah,
Okay.
well, they're the one that we have a quote for
Right.
Charge Point. It's actually from Voltrex, which is, you know,
Okay.
I guess a general electrical type contractor, and they will install. They're like a distributor for
Okay.
Charge Point. So
Okay.
we have a quote, and there's enough money left over from their quote to buy some number of subscription to the charging station.
Like
'Cause
3 years, I think it is.
Wow.
Yeah,
3 or 5 years? Is it 3 years? I think they're
Yeah.
3 years.
yeah.
Depending on how much money we actually have left over, it's going to be between 3 and 5 years.
Yeah, because these charging stations are part of a network, and so you're paying a subscription for it to be on the network. Then you can decide whether it's free, whether you charge per hour, per kilowatt hour, or both, or how many free hours do you want to give away before you start charging, and you charge for kilowatt hours the whole time, or, you know, I mean, you can
Yeah.
set it up, or this person gets free and that one doesn't. But you pay a 10% fee for all the money that you collect via that mechanism.
In addition to the fixed fee?
To this company, so they get a fee. That's at the
Right.
minimum.
Yes.
So for every
so-
dollar you know that you end up charging people based on whatever you've set your hourly rate to,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. So if your electricity costs 20 cents a kilowatt hour, you should charge, you know, 22 roughly to
We
get
have,
your 20.
Do we have the option to? So what is the nature of the contract, though? Suppose at some point we decide not to pay the fee, or
Well, I think I believe what happens is the charging station becomes, if you supply power to it, becomes a charging station anybody can use. They can plug in. They don't need to swipe a card, and it just starts charging their car.
but where's the electricity come from? Who's
Well,
paying
like,
this?
you're supplying the electricity.
Who?
So the town.
It's on the grid.
Well, it depends on who's
Who's paying for it?
The town.
Well, it depends on whose service
No,
we've hooked
I'm
up.
asking.
So,
It depends on whose service we've hooked.
But
so this is
someone
not
who
a separate
has-
service?
Somebody who has a
Not-
account with EverSource is paying for the electricity that goes to the charging station and getting reimbursed?
Okay, I think so. The EverSource people have. There's a cabinet that goes with this. If we're
It's a
on the
meter.
EV Make Ready program, which
Right.
is what we're sort of planning on doing, and there's a cabinet that allows them to service up to 5 or 10 of these stations, and it has a meter socket on it. So
Perfect. So
you
it's a
probably
separate
have
meter.
so there's probably an account that is a new EverSource
account.
account.
New account.
So,
Yeah, that somebody would have to take responsibility
Right,
for.
so-
It's not EverSource.
and it's gonna be the town if we do it, because just, even if we don't charge anything, Eversource charges $7 a month for a meter.
Right.
So we'd have to make enough to cover that.
Yeah, as a minimum.
Right.
And then, you know, the 10% stuff, so have that been explained to the selectmen? Because I remember seeing this,
No, I didn't know. I was completely wrong. I thought it was free.
yeah, right.
And that's
Because
what we
they
had the
need
meeting,
them-
because I said,
That's
what,
why we
we
don't
have to
wanna
go
have
back
them
to the
3
selectmen
years.
and explain
Yeah.
to
So we
them.
need a
Well,
budget item for
the
this.
subscription cost is on the order of $30 a month.
Yeah, I saw your email, right.
Yeah, so the 7 is kind of a smaller
So,
part
so
of
you
that.
need to make enough money off people charging this to cover all those costs and possibly make a profit on it somehow, and then we need to plow that money back into the Energy Task
Task
Force,
Force.
the general fund or something.
We have a lot of decision-making left to
Yeah.
do on this. So we should try to keep moving here, but the thing about how much time to ask on the extension, so the caveat is that next time, we could ask for a 1-year extension, but we want to make sure that the next time we decide to bid on a grant application, we have all our projects finished.
So that's by
That's not-
December, right, Debbie?
No, it's February. We have to have them finished by.
Well, that was what it was going to be this year, so
Yeah,
probably
so
it'll
be
be
February
next
next
year.
year.
February.
So we could, I don't know if it complicates, does it
9
complicate
months.
things to ask for 12 months, or should we just ask for, whatever it is through,
December,
I would go to December.
and then
go
we're
through December?
because if we're not finished by December,
Well, that's the end of the calendar.
we'll be adding
year.
the money back anyway.
End of the calendar year is a logical
Yeah, makes
point.
sense.
So
So,
that seems like and again, I mean, obviously, Claude and Debbie have to decide how much personal energy they can put into this, but at least we'll have a little bit of relief on the time constraint. And
So going back to your original question, Claude, did the person who helped you guys develop the grant proposal, is he been contacted, that person who gave us the dollar amount and the quote?
That's
charging
Paul
station?
Lefkowitz, I believe is his name.
And I assume he does charging stations too, and by just common, niceties, because he's the one that spent the time to give us the quote, we should be asking him to see what he would quote us for to put this charging station on. That's how we do AECom, that's how we've done everybody else. Anybody who comes out and spends the time to give us a quote, at least we ask them to give us a quote to do it now. Or
You mean another quote?
well, no,
or
the same price as what we asked for in the grant.
Well, the quote we have from Voltrex is less than the grant money. It includes the charging station itself and the installation even of the charging station. Literally, which means bolting it down and then hooking up the wires.
Right.
Eversource is would do everything up to that point.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. You want me to... I talked to him recently because I asked this question, what is the fee? What's the service charge for
Right.
the fees that we impose on, the thing? And he said, 10% is generally what it is. And then he thought EVgo was higher.
Mhm.
Then I called the EVgo guy and he's 5%. But his monthly fees are higher.
Much higher.
Right.
Yeah, quite a bit higher.
So it really didn't work out.
Yeah,
when we
it's
did
not
the math.
or it's maybe, well, it depends on how much
Right.
business you get, whether
Yeah,
one
it
is
was
more
getting to the bit
advantageous
higher.
than the other.
Because this isn't in a place that we think people will be using that often, it's
Right.
not worth risking.
So
whatever.
that brings us back around. So I went through this series of things as we were thinking through there, as we were talking. What about some place like Greeno parking? Trails people, there's often an electric
Can I
car
make
there.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to make a proposal here. I know I've historically not been great with time management here, and to see this meeting could go all night on this one subject, and we still won't be done. We're not going to be able to get through all these decisions tonight. What we need to decide tonight, I think, is how much time are we going to ask on the extension? We have a lot of other stuff to cover now.
Sure.
Are there other things we have to decide tonight on this topic?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to suggest we table the discussion and just agree on what time extension we're going to ask for, but at least get that moving, and then get on to some other topics.
Okay.
Because we're
Yeah.
we're already
Yeah, this one on this,
half an
as I
hour
say, this
behind
one
at
can
least.
go on for Benfield have also
Yeah, no, I
asked
apologize,
for it.
but
There's so many balls jumping,
yeah, is that Concord?
This is Concord.
Is
That's
it
my
Concord?
friend Pete. He's at least 5.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
Ah.
Look at how those bollards
Ah.
are.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what Concord does.
Yeah.
If Carlisle
But I just wanted to say
Yeah.
they're pretty tall.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, we go back to green communities. We've got all the data showing we've really tried really hard. You
Well,
know.
no, that's not the point. I mean, they're not.
Well, it's not part of the thing when you go with when I'm going back to this the Green Communities quarterly report. That's one of the things I have to include. We have to include all the things that we're coming up against, because one of the things Green Communities wants to do is learn what we're coming up against.
Sure, no, I
They don't want to
understand.
hear
No, no,
everything goes
I-
swimmingly, when in
Okay.
actual fact you've actually had to climb Mount Everest twice.
I understand. Okay, so,
You know.
do we have a motion to request an extension through the end of the calendar year on our Green Communities grant?
So moved.
Do
Yes.
we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So it passes unanimously.
I just want to say I applaud you for your interruption and your time management excellence right there.
Any positive reinforcement on this? Quarterly report.
Right, quarterly report. We've pretty much gone through everything. Thank you to Basu and Bill for their intervention, and we've managed to clarify the issues. As I say, I have to include everything that we come up against. That has
No, I understand.
needs to be included in, so that they see the problems. Why are we asking
I
for an
understand, I
extension?
understand,
So at least we can then actually put
Yep,
the
yep.
reasons for asking to the
Yep,
extension
yep,
into
yep,
this.
that's good. Got it.
And I'll also include the fact we're asking for the town to commit money to the building systems, this quote here, into that, I think, because
That's
actually they
a very
always
good
like
point.
to
Yeah.
see when we're
That's a very
putting
good
our
point.
money into it as well.
You
and
have to be
improving.
careful how we word that, because we haven't
I will, no,
got
I'll-
the approval
I
yet,
will,
but,
I will
yeah.
put the motion that we have asked the selectmen, and we have, don't forget, we'll have a June quarterly report.
Yep.
To do as well. So what I'm going to do is I'll update this tonight. I will send it to John tomorrow, so he will sign it and submit it.
Excellent.
That's
And get
okay.
copies of it too, Jim.
Yeah, I'll send out copies to Bill,
Excellent, thank
Basu,
you.
and yourself. I don't
Okay.
think anyone else here needs copies, because nobody else is involved in the projects. Oh well, no,
Well,
sorry,
no, I-
sorry, I'm
Yeah.
Claude.
Yeah.
Apologies,
No,
Claude.
just copy there's nothing
whole team? Okay.
proprietary, yeah,
Whole
copy
team,
the
yeah.
whole
All right.
distribution.
I just get panicky sometimes over open meeting law, but yeah, if I'm just sending things out, it's fine.
I think so, yeah, it's not a discussion or deliberation,
No.
it's,
So that's what I intend to do. So
Submittal.
I'll update tonight.
it's not being sent for comment at that point. So on the annual report, I didn't look at the email very carefully, but at all, but we did get some feedback on the annual report that we're expected to respond to. And I don't know, I have no evidence that John Mativier is taking any action on that, or anyone else. Does anyone have a status update?
Yeah, I talked with John. I'm supposed to
Good.
get with him this week. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow or Friday morning to go through these. Some of them,
Excellent.
I mean, like there's three things that I guess Neil brought up. The ECM list. The reason why there's nothing there was because when they sent the correction out, they gave us a blank table, and we weren't going to retype all that stuff. So we can send them the table that we had from last year, and then add the ones that we added, and it'll be done. But we figured we weren't going to apply for any projects, so we didn't add anything new, for the table. But we lost 50 or 70 projects on that table because he just sent out a blank sheet. So that's kind of what happened with number one. Number two, the MEI stuff. The street lights are in there. I mean, they're under DPW. They're not a line item by themselves.
Right. Okay. Well, I think that
Right.
was just a communication thing with us
Right,
and all that.
and
so-
that's something that's, we'll just tell him that we've put it in, we corrected it, but the last time we checked, which was about 4 months ago, Eversource still isn't updating that meter reading, so next year we'll have to put in the manual 62 kilowatts or whatever. I don't remember exactly the number, but that we put in. And then number 4, the building stock, that adjustment was done when Pam was working with us. So I don't know where that
That's
came
why I just,
from.
I don't
And-
know,
and-
I know.
So number
I just-
3 doesn't even make sense.
So I told him just delete it.
Yeah, right.
Delete
Well,
that
would it make
sentence.
sense to, for you and John to just call Neil?
Yes, that's what we
Okay,
plan to
you
do.
plan to call him.
Go through
Okay.
this and then respond to him, and
John doesn't work Fridays.
I
Does he?
know.
So
He
you
works
just-
tomorrow. I'll be doing it tomorrow.
That's why I have to get it in tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Tomorrow's a big day for me as well, so.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's why I'm doing it
That's a good
tonight.
point, Deb. I'm glad you brought that up. I'll be over there tomorrow morning early. I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of the annual report update.
Thanks, Bill, really.
It's minimal stuff. It's
It's literally
explaining stuff.
crossing T's.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. Obviously we just need to do it.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for stepping up on that. I think we're done with green communities. Am I correct?
I hope so.
Okay. All right, thanks everyone for hanging in. Debbie, are you ready to talk about warrant articles? I put your name next to this. You had
Well,
suggested
thank
it
you very
for
much.
the
All of
agenda.
them. Well,
can
I'm not
pick
doing
and- you can
solar
pick
array
and choose.
because Jonathan's here.
Well, let's make sure we put the context around this. This is,
So I will
we're
do
not
s-
having just an open discussion about these warrant articles. We're talking by exception where the task force might have something to say
Yep.
about these warrant articles. And my default assumption is that we don't have anything to say about them until we demonstrate that we do.
So CCHS parking, I attended the meeting, I sent out the notes to everybody about it. Subsequently to that, and it's a bit more grilling of my daughter who's a senior, I worked out the additional MMBTU that will be used, and it's about 700. Well, about 600 and something. It's getting close to 700 MMBTU. A year would be added by adding these parking, which is about what we save with green communities on a good year. So it's a considerable amount of money of energy they're asking us to spend.
Does that include paving it and doing all the construction
That it does
work?
not include the embedded carbon. That is merely the extra cars that will be driven on our roads as a result of having parking.
But the assumption is that we add parking, we're adding that many more drivers,
Yes,
right?
because I asked my daughter. She estimated there was about 50 kids parking in Concord off campus, and people were renting out driveways. She said, and things like that in Concord.
That's actually one of my wife's suggestions to the,
So.
Brilliant.
Yeah, there might be a few people in Concord voting against it just for that reason. But Laurel is completely packed of kids. So all that would happen when we add in another 104 parking spaces on the school campus is that those spaces would just be taken up with more kids. More kids will drive cars. 18.
Well, that's an assumption we're making.
That's an assumption, and
which
that's
we
where
need
my
some backup,
assumption has
so.
come that it will be another 650 plus
So,
MMBTU. That's assuming they're all driving gasoline cars, just my daughter assures me they all are. Some of them are driving trucks, some of them are driving more efficient vehicles.
right.
Just for a record, there are less than 10 children who do not have cars attending who are seniors in the current Carlisle cohort of kids. And the reason for that is, so there's 85 kids, so there's 80.
Oh, I'm sorry,
So
Carlisle.
77 cars we have 77 cars going to Concord with our seniors every day.
We got the total numbers for Carlisle and Concord. Let's see if I don't remember the total numbers, but the percentage of seniors who have reserved spots is 70%. Concord and Carlisle combined.
So the reason that we have so we only have 77 cars going to Concord every day is because we have 2 sets of triplets, and they only have 1 car each. Well, not 1 car each; they only have 1 car between 3 of them. So the rest. My daughter is one of the people who doesn't have a car, though. She's been taking our car this week. So.
All right, not riding the loser cruiser.
So is
I mean, the conclusion is, the diesel buses are horrendous. They're running. There was no information whether they're running full or empty. There's no information about car sharing, which has been proposed by the school council committee, the student school council committee. There was just no information. It was just like they went. It was like what, I don't know. You went to the same different one, but the same presentation. It was like we asked people what they wanted to do with this site, and they all decided they wanted more car parking. There was like no decision about, is this the right way we should be going? And it has caused problems with it. I have no doubt it's caused problems with the management of the school. I'm not suggesting this is not a difficult management problem, but I just don't feel the right way is to solve it by building more parking rather than looking at the overall energy that they're using in transportation.
Well, I think looking at alternatives, recharacterizing the problem instead of saying the problem is we don't have enough parking spaces. Say the problem is, well, maybe that is, the problem is we've got people trying to park who can't find parking, and it appears to me at least that they have not put much thought into alternatives to adding parking, whatever they may be. Now, they apparently established this new sustainability committee, or whatever, you remember what they called it? In 2019.
About how to lower the carbon.
2019. So why did it take until 2019? So I mean, from a personal perspective, I agree that they haven't explored the options. It's not part of our bailiwick necessarily, but in addition to the energy and carbon issue, it's a safety issue too for the kids. So the question is, do folks feel that we, the task force, should take a position on this warrant article and make an announcement at the town meeting to voice whatever we agree to say? And I think that's where
really
we're getting to here.
And
Right?
I'm not against kids having cars to go to school, because I think that's a whole cultural thing that would be really difficult to change. But what I would like is some movement by the school to comprehend that they have to be aware of their carbon footprint and come up with electric buses. We buy an electric bus. Whatever has to be, you know,
so we
where
have to come up with some, let's suggest some very simple, broad language, because we're not going to get into what all the alternatives are.
And Concord might vote it down and it doesn't get to our town meeting anyway.
Well, okay, we don't know that, but we don't have another meeting before our meeting, so we're going to have to come up with a wording here.
Maybe the town meeting's going to want to know, do you support it or don't you? Yeah.
Right.
And would we be expected to make a statement one way or the other?
Yes.
I would
Yeah,
think so.
Short
if you have an
statement. I would
opinion.
think, I've assumed
Yep.
it would, in this case, would certainly make a statement. So, so we first have to say, I guess the proposal we'll put on the board here, or the motion we'll put on the board here, would be along the lines of the Energy Task Force recommends a no vote on this, and then because based on our review, there has not been an adequate evaluation of alternatives that would have a more modest or even a positive energy and carbon impact, something like that. And we can actually, I don't know that we even need to put in the numbers, the 700
I wouldn't.
number.
No, I don't think we should, because
I thought
disputed.
that
your
opens
statement
up-
was very good as it
Me too.
was.
Can we replay
So-
YouTube now, please? Because I kind of...
Yeah, we can actually.
No, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, if you can remember what you were said, that's it. The
Well, it was
Energy
very
Force
clear and
recommends that
concise.
no,
Hold on.
a no
So-
one's warrant.
We'll rewind.
Okay.
You should be able to rewind.
If I could spell and type, because you might know I can't spell or do either. So
That's okay. Just
You're doing
an
great.
approximation of words.
Anyway. As we discussed, our backup was that to ask for it to be installed here in town hall. And so I went to
Is that too late?
Yeah.
Fast forward. It went back too
it was
far.
Like,
Well, this is quote unquote live.
you guys are feeling very chatty.
Oh, I'm at the beginning. Okay.
No, you don't run into the bollard, you know, or your car into.
Well, we're back at Bollards.
Yeah, no, we want to get beyond
Okay.
bollards. Bollards are boring.
I mean, we might be able to recreate what he said.
Yeah,
just
no,
from
that's
our
why it might be
memory,
easier.
right, rather
The
than
Energy Task Force
technology.
recommends a no
no
vote
vote.
on this warrant. As with our review, there has not been an adequate.
Well, this is quote.
Difficult. So then,
Analysis of alternatives.
Our backup
Compete with
was
that,
that
sorry.
Which
to ask for it to be installed here in town hall.
would have
And so I
a
went to
less
see the selectmen.
something and carbon footprint.
That too
late?
Something like
Energy
that.
and carbon.
Less energy and carbon impact, I think.
Impact.
Or possibly a positive impact. It was something along those lines that you said. I don't know how you managed to say that all so concisely
I know,
and
that's
have
it.
none of us remember it perfectly.
Yeah, I know. We should have Debbie take it off of there.
Oh.
It's in there live.
Later. You know, I know.
And the only
Yeah,
other thing
I-
is you said as, and he actually said because. So you want to read it back to us, if you got it?
No, I got the as, yeah. I've just got the Energy Task Force. Okay, we read now. The Energy Task Force recommends a no vote on this warrant because, in our review,
In our analysis.
right?
Based on our analysis. Is analysis or just based on our review?
Our view.
Based on our review.
There has not been an adequate analysis of the alternatives, which would lessen our energy use or lessen the energy use.
There's not been adequate review of alternatives that may have a lower energy and carbon impact.
Right.
And maybe just say that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
just,
Even cleaner.
stop.
I got it.
that's all town meeting will need.
Very exactly.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Do folks need to hear that again?
Nope.
Okay.
Somebody needs to make a motion though.
I make a motion that we recommend a no vote on the CCH working, and based on the sentence we just said, or do I have to read it out
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. It passed unanimously. Excellent. So that's parking.
Pierre
Page your throw's been
it's been thrown out.
been taken off, so we can
Put in the
commiserate at
parking lot.
another time. Solar arrays, well, maybe it might be better for Jonathan to give his update, and then
I don't know that I need to give an update
Okay.
before that, because currently you're dealing with warrant articles, right? So why don't
Okay.
we just go ahead and make
Okay.
motions on warrant
Okay.
articles? So let me just
Yeah.
make sure you guys know what's being proposed.
Okay.
Right? I know you got it in front of you, but the first warrant article is to update the bylaw. The
Mhm.
updates to the bylaw consist of 3 parts. One is to add the school to the solar overlay district, and that consists of 4 parcels or 3.5 parcels.
Mhm.
So it consists of all of the main school grounds, but not including Spalding Field and the hill, and so the actual wording is something like parcels such less than 800 feet from School Street. So that's the main thing, is to add that to the solar overlay district. The second portion of the bylaw update is to allow canopies on the solar overlay district and to limit their height to 25 feet so that they're not sky high. And the third part is both parts of the solar overlay district are actually consist of multiple parcels, And as the bylaw is currently worded, we need to stay 40 feet back from each of those parcel lines. And so we need to have a minor wording adjustment to say, unless the abutting property is also owned by the same entity. And so therefore the solar overlay district can actually use that whole area rather than have to stay 40 feet away from these arbitrary lines in the sand.
Is that all one article?
It is one warrant article to make 4 changes to this particular section of the bylaw. And so if you have it in front of you, you can see the exact details, but that's the fundamental thing. And so the solar working group is looking for some positive endorsement of this from the Energy Task Force.
Okay.
Yes. So the original solar overlay district was sort of a hotly contested thing. It was part of the Green Communities application, and one of the things they had to do to get it for people to swallow it, was they put a 12-foot limit.
Yes.
I believe. So is the 12-foot, this new height limit, does that apply?
Only to canopies.
Only to canopies?
Yes. The existing 12-foot limit is exactly as is, and so if it's
for
not a
ground-
canopy, it still has to be 12 foot or less.
Right. So sort of generic ground mount.
Yep.
Right, got it.
Yes.
So Jonathan, is there going to be any presentation on this at the meeting or not?
At town meeting?
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Okay,
and
so you'll have a
I...
chance, someone will have a chance to explain all this.
Yeah, we'll
Super
explain the whole thing. So
Yeah,
I
okay.
and Eric Zimmerman and Melinda and the whole group are
Yeah.
crafting it.
So
Yeah.
what you basically want is an endorsement from the Energy Task Force, is maybe a short phrase after saying, because this really helps, not only helps Carlisle reduce costs, but it also helps us
Yeah.
promote a cleaner, less, I have to think of the wording, but it helps us reduce
Yeah.
carbon footprint and promote renewable
Right.
energy and all that.
Just so you know, the amount of energy that they're going to produce is going to be more than what the municipal buildings actually use.
Is that the municipal and school, or just the
The
municipal?
whole municipal and school, everything.
Big difference,
So-
because that's a lot.
Yeah, it's not as much as the entire town uses, and so every time we've got to find the right phrasing for this word, because everyone goes, "Oh, these little tiny solar panels are going to provide enough for the whole town." It's like, no, just for the town-owned buildings.
Right.
But it is enough to cover the school and the rest of the municipal buildings.
But
Yeah,
not
but the
waste.
school uses the most.
The school is by far the majority of the
40-50%
energy
of the
consumption.
energy, yeah.
The one at the school won't provide enough for the school. We
Yeah.
need the one at the transfer
It's
station
like-
to help supply extra, but
It's like
Oh.
$70,000-$80,000.
Move this along. I
Yeah.
move that we support the bylaw change warrant article.
No, we have to
Yeah,
have to come up with a phrase,
Yeah,
don't we,
so
that we had to speak at a
We
town
s-
hall.
We strongly
Yeah,
endorse.
and then we of course move it.
We strongly, the Energy Task Force strongly endorses the solar warrant article.
No, it's a bylaw amendment, isn't
right,
it?
that's the, so I can.
Because
So
it's
why don't I talk
three.
about all three first,
So it's
and then
a
you guys can
bylaw,
decide how you
yeah.
want to address it.
All right.
So that's the first one is the bylaw. We need a 2/3 vote on that. Okay.
Zoning. It's a zoning.
That's a
bylaw.
zoning bylaw. Yep. So the second part is we actually have to approve the terms of the lease and the pilot and whatnot in payments to the town. So that's essentially the contract with Amoresco that allows us to actually build each of these. And so there's a warrant article related to the approval of the lease with Amoresco to go build this.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the second part. And I believe the way it's actually worded is to authorize the Board of Selectmen to sign the lease or something along those lines. Right? So that's the second thing. That's the one that's going to cause it to actually get built.
Yep.
So we're looking for definitely the solar overlay district, because even if we decide not to build this one, so that's why they're separated,
Yeah,
also
right.
separated for legal reasons, I think, but it makes sense. And then the third part is the paving of the parking lot under the canopies at the school. And this is part of the requirements that the school committee has on being able to do solar at the school, is they want that paved, right? And there are very valid reasons for it. One is it's been 32 years since it was paved. It is falling apart. I went and looked at it myself. And so it is in need of repair. Our putting additional canopies and stuff on top of it will cause it to be degraded further, right, as they trench through it. And so It is also a convenient time because they will be putting, they can put their ground stuff in. We can put a beautiful new, top across it, and then put the superstructure on top of that. And so it's a logistically good time if the first 2 warrant articles pass. And so the way we're going to run this is, if the first one passes, we move the second one. If the second one passes, we move the third one. If any of them fail, then we stop moving the other 2. So we won't end up with having to pay to put a parking lot in that doesn't have funding.
Should
And
we
so,
have 3 separate statements, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Because
so.
you're going to stand up at town hall for every vote, aren't
Yeah,
you?
it's 3 separate
Will be
votes,
asked
and there will be
to vote.
discussion between them. Wayne is going to be very strict about what we're discussing prior to each vote. So one item of note is the cost associated with putting in the paving will be fully paid for by the lease payments of the canopy at the school. So the dollar amount that comes in from those lease payments is enough to pay for essentially a 20-year bond to cover the cost of the paving, provided we're in Smart Block 4 or better, and currently we believe that we're going to be in Smart Block 4 or better. And so it'll cover that. There's still additional revenue coming to the town, which is in terms of the pilots, so the payment in lieu of taxes, both from the school and from the transfer station, and the lease money from the transfer station. So it's not like we're taking all the money and putting it into the parking lot. We're taking some percentage of it.
Roughly how much would you say? I'm just curious.
I think I would guess around 30% of the total payment
Is
ends
for
up
the
going
parking.
into it.
230,000.
Yeah, it's a 250, I think, is what they said. So
Okay.
it's
But
250,000.
there's still quite a bit left over. after
Right.
we pay for parking. Good.
Yeah. So we pay for the parking. I
So
don't
the-
believe it made it this time in these warrant articles, but we have been discussing the possibility of a stabilization fund. And if it doesn't make it this time, we'll probably try to bring it up next year. So that we can use the money that's being generated by these leases for things that relate to this stuff, right? So the school should be able to say, yes, we're using this in a stabilization fund to pay for our parking. And I think the one from the transfer station should logically be used to handle things like, we're getting pushback from some of the abutters, so we should be able to use some of it to beautify the edges, plant nice trees that people like, whatever, stuff like that. Or implement the compost program that was part of Pay As You Throw, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it's gonna
We
be
know we
like
got a grant for
whatever,
that.
$20-some thousand a year coming in. We should, from the transfer station, we should be able to put that back into either transfer station stuff or energy efficiency stuff. So
The
It'd be
current,
really-
the current rule is energy-related programs.
yeah, is it in the bylaw or is it?
No,
in the
they're-
bylaw?
so
It's
they're
not- it's
It's
not
not.
right
Not
now.
this- not right now.
Not the mo- it may be by the time we get there, but. it's
Yeah,
not-
so we can
it's not
still
at
adjust the
moment.
wording. So
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to Jenny about whether we can adjust the wording on the transfer station one. So if you guys have suggestions on other things
Well,
that
I
we
think
should put in
you
there.
see there's always things that we've never accounted for that we hit.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Why would we
we
restrict?
could use the money like for supplying these
Electric vehicle
yeah,
charging
these electric
stations
vehicle
everywhere.
chargers. You'd be like, okay, fine, we're making enough money.
I
we'll
mean,
just
yeah,
make it
$2,000
happen.
we can have quite a few.
Right.
You
Well,
know.
Why should we want to
question
spend the money instead of shelter our taxes?
Oh no, that's
Yeah.
another perfectly good use for it.
Well,
yeah.
if you put your buys, you narrow it down to only energy related or carbon related, then
Yeah.
you're restricting it to only
Everything
Well,
has
well,
carbon
question-
in it.
question
It's
came
more
up-
spending than instead of reducing spending.
Yes.
I mean, the
So, yeah.
answer,
Well-
as we discussed it, the answer is, okay, if you build an energy efficient building, that's energy related programs.
Right.
Right.
So you could say, if the community centre ever got built.
Right, yes.
But
Well,
to your point, it's what the Board of Selectmen brought up previously about this was it kind of disappears in and the taxes still go up,
Yeah.
right? And so it's just we find more ways to spend it, but we don't direct them to the things that we should be doing or should be doing from this. So it's a way to say yes. You call it the master plan thing, right? It's a way to
but who
to
decides
start
how that
implementing
money gets spent, though?
Well, I would recommend we lob it off to you guys and say the Energy Task Force will decide how this money gets spent.
Yeah, it's tricky. Bill has a point, and I think we don't even know if this is going to make it into the warrant, right?
Right.
So I don't know. It's kind of tough to take a position.
No, I don't want you to take a position on it. I'm just saying that is a possibility
Right.
of
Yeah,
of
I-
how we want to handle the money.
I like a
So
stabilization.
I wanted to say
fund.
about the votes, zoning requires 2/3.
Zoning requires 2/3, and the
And
next
so the
two
other
require-
two are a majority, I
are
assume.
just a majority, yes,
So
because
that's one
they-
reason they're split, I believe.
Right, and so the parking lot, they decided they did not need to actually get a bond, and so they don't need to mess with Proposition 2.5, so we don't have to go through all the extra stuff to do with that.
Doesn't mean,
So-
it doesn't need to be an exclusion.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a debt exclusion, sorry, I didn't think of the word. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, a
So-
debt exclusion is sort of cheating because
Yeah.
you,
Yeah, it goes up anyways.
well, you avoid sort of Prop 2.5 limits by,
Right.
Right.
and, you know, people think that the debt exclusion is a necessary
Yeah.
thing every time you get a bond, but it's not.
Right, so they said for this one, we don't need that, so we only need to pass town meeting, we don't also need to have a ballot.
Yeah.
So it's 2/3 then, majority and majority.
Okay, so we have to come up with some wording here.
Well,
Well,
it can be
you
as
might
simple
wanna
as we support
it.
we just support it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay.
Unanimously supported,
We-
whatever the
Yeah.
vote is.
You don't have to explain why, you just have to say we
Right.
support it.
But
So,
you should just
but-
explain the vote, though.
But given the discussion that I just had about the paving of the parking lot, you guys might want to relate that to the paving that they want to do at the school and actually think about it. Do you actually want to support that one? Right? The paving of the parking lot, right?
Which parking?
The
lot?
bond.
The
Yeah,
bond
yeah.
for the paving of the parking lot at the school,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
You
well,
mean,
yeah, you
you
may wanna
mean
take no position
our
on that.
school
Our school,
versus
right?
the high
Okay.
school? We're not adding any parking
We're not
spaces.
adding any parking.
And, so that's the whole thing is
Yeah.
the whole idea is to try and keep
We're not adding
things
parking
stable.
anymore.
No, just fixing
Yeah.
There's
the
a lot of
Okay.
carbon in
parking
that.
I just wanted to, it's
Yeah.
not, and it's not a strictly speaking energy task force item.
Yeah.
It's only connected because the school committee said, we
Yeah.
really want you to do this if you're putting solar
Yeah,
panels
it
up
makes
there.
sense. You know.
So you may
So
wanna take
do
So-
position.
wait a
maybe
minute,
we
what
don't
hap-
stand up on item
you-
3.
You could decide
No,
not to
but
stand
if
up.
item 3 doesn't pass, we're not doing the canopies.
No, we are.
No, that I
Yeah.
think the school committee would be seen as extremely spiteful if they.
Just,
saying, but-
all right.
But I think if you wanted to demonstrate, collegiality with the school committee, then you'd go, yes, we like
Yeah,
this too.
I mean, there's an
right?
issue about once you've actually covered the parking lots, shaded them,
It'll last forever.
they last for a long, long time. So,
Right.
60
in actual
years.
fact, from a carbon point of view,
You save it.
it's probably better. Personally, I think I mentioned to you that we now have renewables in parking or recyclable asphalt, which would be nice to have, but it turns out we can't use that for.
It's extremely complicated to pull stuff
we
like
can't
that
use
off,
that at
so.
the moment. The school were actually very excited about that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
It got back to them, and they went, "Oh, this is really good." And I went, "No, can't. Sorry."
So yes, I'm with.
So a simple motion to
Yeah, just support it.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
zoning. So
Well, we
I
can't
just want to get the wording down.
To
so-
the Energy Task Force strongly recommend a yes vote for the bylaw amendment, as it will allow the town to generate renewable energy and generate
But which bylaw amendment?
the
Uh,
bylaw
This
amendment
is
for
the only
the
bylaw
canopy.
Solar.
So,
Yeah,
there's
but-
I think
Canopy.
a couple, but the solar
just
zoning
canopy.
bylaw.
The zoning
Bylaws.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the bylaws, which is the one that is the most important one because it needs a 2/3 vote.
Right.
It's
But
a
I don't-
really
what
that's a really tough one to get through.
I understand. I agree with all that. But my point is, I want to be, if there may be other bylaw warrant articles out there. I don't know. So let's just say that. What do we call
Do you
it?
have
Solar
the
overlay district zoning
So-
bylaw.
Yeah.
Solar
that
overlay
narrows it down.
district zoning bylaw. Thank you.
And you'll be asked that in conjunction with the
Right.
motion to
Right.
do that.
Well, I just want to make sure we have our notes accurate.
Yes.
And then the second one is called what again?
The Amoresco contract.
Yeah.
Okay, the MRF.
Yeah, I mean, you can
So
name it
it's
whatever you want, but I can.
I will have put
Just
legal
call it
and
the solar-
financial warrant is what I will able to ask.
Yeah, well, the first one is being called the legal framework.
Oh right,
um,
Call
okay.
it the solar.
Which is the updating the bylaw? Is that right or no?
Yeah, the update to the bylaw, we're referring it to it as the legal framework. So let me just tell you the second. Article 25, authorize solar facility lease pilot agreements and easements for transfer station and CPS parking lot.
Oh gosh.
Can we just say
Lease.
authorize solar contracts?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, according to this, it's Articles 24 and 25.
But that could change.
So
No, that's been frozen.
Okay.
Oh, well, great. Just
24.
for 24.
So you have that secret information that they were talking about.
Well, I
too.
right that you guys closed the warrant, so
Okay.
unless they
it's-
reopen it, it's
You can't renumber it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion that we strongly endorse a yes vote on Articles 24 and 25.
Yeah.
Does someone want to move that?
I'll move that.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
Hold on, I can't.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
No.
No.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Passes unanimously.
And do you want to take a position on 26, the school parking lot
Mhm.
resurfacing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just brought up a good point, Jonathan, which is, yeah, I don't know. I guess.
I mean, you could make something simple and instead of saying strongly endorses, we endorse this because it is logistically the right thing to do for the town.
Yeah, we can just say we endorse it. That's fine.
Yeah, support.
Uh,
Well, no, we
But- but
rather than
support it,
endorse,
support.
we
We
support
support.
We
this.
support it.
I think we should actually, support this because it's underneath the canopies,
Yeah. Yeah.
and therefore it has a longer longevity, and therefore it's carbon embedded. Shut up. Too long.
Well, I mean,
embedded carbon. It will be
From an energy
less,
point of
yeah.
view, you could also say that it's more efficient to repave it at this point because you already have the paving machines there. You already,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
The embedded
Yeah.
energy
I don't
costs.
think we need to say
I
any
just
of
say
that.
you
I
support
like
it.
we
It's-
support
it's-
it.
No,
Should be something.
or that's the reasoning. I mean,
No, no,
that
I
way there's
think-
an energy. If there's no energy impact, the energy committee really
Doesn't
shouldn't
really-
have.
shouldn't-
But I think
shouldn't-
it's
exactly.
understood that we need, it's really gonna facilitate the whole process if we
Yeah.
go along
So
with this.
just
So
that's
I'll entertain a motion that we endorse.
No, I'm going back. We have to say the two. We have to say because it's the embedded carbon. We're reducing the embedded carbon of doing two projects. We're combining two projects and doing it once. No.
Okay.
I mean, I think we have to.
Or-
because
or-
why
or-
else
No,
would
no,
we
no,
just
I'm
support
not
the project?
objecting.
I mean, it seems really silly because we're just saying we rejected one law and this one they haven't come in it. There has to be an energy reason. Sorry.
All right.
so. What's your energy reason?
So please state the motion then.
We support the repaving of the car park of this.
Are you making a motion now?
I'm just saying, thinking out loud now.
All right. You're not making a motion then. Okay, go ahead.
We support this warrant as combining two projects in one.
Thereby lessening the carbon footprint.
Significantly reduces the embedded carbon footprint
Okay.
of any construction
We
project.
could probably just say we support this project because it lowers the embedded carbon emissions or something like that.
Because by combining projects, it
Yeah.
lowers
Do
the
it
carbon
now than in
emissions.
future. It has to be done in future. Then it will go. More energy.
Feels a bit tenuous to me. Like I said, I would have
I-
just
I
gone
don't
because
think
it's
it's
logistically the
insignificant.
right thing to do for the town, but then you're right, you don't really need
Well,
to
we
make that
say, we don't
motion.
have to say why, we just say we support it.
Yeah,
That's
most,
it.
most,
No,
but
I-
most
I-
times
People
it's-
stand up
most
and just
people-
say that.
We
Committee
support
members.
or we oppose. Yeah.
Yes, but
Yeah, well, that's the only thing
Can
you're
I-
allowed to sort of say. It's basically, what does so-and-so committee have a position?
but
We support
And
it.
they come and they say, yes.
yeah, but I think
Very
I-
rarely did you say any
I think
explanation.
yeah, but I think having an energy task force sitting there voting to repave a parking
No, I think
area
it's good that we
is
have a
that you
reason.
have to
If
have
we're
a reason.
asked, we can
It's not-
defend it, right? We can say, this is why, as opposed to, oh,
Yeah,
we
it's
don't
true.
know.
I know it's true. From what I remember from the town meetings, it's not common for the various committees to explain their
Right.
positions.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if there's no precedent for doing that. I think maybe occasionally they do. I think
It might
that-
be challenged. Somebody might,
And,
you know,
and,
that's a
and,
good
they,
question.
and by the way,
Or they say poo-poo it.
in the
Rather,
test-
I think it makes it more the reason we've actually thought about saying, it's not saying we want it because we want solar panels. We want it because it actually, there's this whole thing about embedded carbon.
nobody's challenging the reasoning. They're just challenging the protocol and precedent for this.
Okay.
I'm sure I can sneak in something, we can sneak in something very short, but if we say something, we have to keep it short. I think the question may come up, why is it's pretty obvious in the first two why the Energy Task Force is taking a position. This one, it may not be obvious, and all we need to say is, because we think it's going to help reduce embedded carbon emissions by combining projects.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, I think I agree. You don't need to say this at town meeting unless someone asks, why is the Energy
Exactly.
Task Force having an opinion?
Exactly.
Then you can get up and say, this is why.
Yeah, we have it in the pocket, but we don't
Yeah.
have to lead with it.
Yeah, you just
Right.
say we support this.
Yeah.
So, that's just me.
Okay, well, we can also leave it to whoever is standing up at town meeting to say either we support this, period, or we support this.
I'm hoping that you will all come to town meeting to help vote these
Vote,
things
yes.
through.
So some of us get the option,
And-
we can go home and watch television.
And bring your spouses and,
Cheer
you
show.
I
know,
send my family
Bring
and
your-
then
bring your
watch from
spouses.
afar.
So let's
Yeah,
get back to
especially if this
yeah.
goes to a second night.
Absolutely.
It will.
Oh, has
Are
that
we,
been
we're-
decided?
that
what night
means,
this is
oh
gonna
no,
be?
26, you're really late.
There's 35,
Hello,
I
can
believe.
we still have to vote
Yeah.
on this motion, and I just want to be clear, I'm still hearing some controversy about whether it's just a yes or whether it's a yes because. And I'd like a
Well,
motion
I would-
proposed that we can
I mean,
vote,
not,
we can agree on,
I propose that it be yes, comma, and then the reason, and then if they ask us, do you support it, you just say yes. You don't.
I'm afraid you
yeah.
can't. That's a informal suggestion to the group, right?
Right, right. Yeah. I can't make a motion.
Well,
but
the
I'm just-
motion
yeah.
you should make here should go ahead and include both parts, but then the person who stands up at town meeting can say, yes, we voted to support this, and then you don't have to give the
Because if
details.
you'll be getting to like 10 minutes to midnight
All right.
They just
on the
want to
second
invest-
night,
can-
people just want to vote and go
I
home.
agree.
So can you read that as a motion and say I move to in front of it?
I move that the Energy Task Force support warrant 26 because the combined construction because combining construction projects reduces the embedded carbon footprint.
Yep.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Passes unanimously.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Are we finished with the warrant articles?
I hope so.
Okay. It is
It's 8:10
9 o'clock.
8:10?
on the agenda.
Oh, on the agenda. Okay.
Yeah. So
Taking after the selectmen.
let me poll the people here, given the fact that it's now a couple minutes after 9. What agenda items here are essential to wrap up before we go, or should we just call it a day? I just want to take like one more minute myself, but just in terms of the solar update, is there anything critical, Jonathan, you want to mention?
I guess we're making great progress. It is a lot of work to do from here. If anyone wants to help us, figure out how to get the actual presentation to town meeting, we would be happy to accept any help on that front. The most recent update is that we have had a meeting last night, a public input session, public hearing, and we explicitly did invite the abutters of the
Good.
transfer station, and we got a number of abutters there, and I was pleasantly surprised the abutters were, they had reasonable concerns, and they aired them well. We also had some concerns about the makeup of the panels and whether they had toxic chemicals in them that were going to be problems for us. And unfortunately, that dominated the 2-hour discussion.
Okay.
But other than that, things are making progress, and if anyone wants to help, we could use help.
Were any of the butters against it?
I didn't hear anyone actually come out and say they were against it. They had concerns. I actually heard a number of abutters say that they thought that the changes that we were proposing to the transfer station were a net beautification of the project,
Oh, that's
of
good.
the transfer station.
Good.
Good.
And so, so they,
True.
I think we actually might get a fair amount of abutter support.
Mm.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
Okay.
I can see if I can help you with some social media stuff and getting stuff out.
yeah, I mean, I'll ask you for Green Carlisle stuff, but you know, I'm more thinking of, I've never done a presentation to town meeting. If anyone has done a presentation to town meeting and knows good ways to arrange it and to make sure you stay within your slots, you know, your 8-minute
Have
slots.
you
and
reviewed all
whatnot.
the nice material that's on our town website that Wayne Davis has put together?
You know, I have not, and so if you could direct me to that, that would be greatly appreciated.
I think it's pretty easy to find, and I would actually even, you may even want to talk to Wayne. He's
So we have
pretty
talked to
accessible.
Wayne.
Good.
Wayne is actually, he's basically said, you have 3 warrant articles, you get 24 minutes, you guys decide how to divide it up.
Okay.
And so if you want to
Okay.
do 24 minutes and then we do 3 votes, that's fine, or you can do, you know, some number of minutes and then some more and then some more. So
And if
he's
you go
perfectly
under-
happy
go
to be
under
flexible
town
on that
meet-
kind of
go
stuff
under annual
too.
town meeting, I think it's pretty easy to find those materials. I don't remember exactly the path, but
Okay,
I haven't had trouble finding them.
okay.
I do want to just take hopefully 3 more minutes to hit very quickly on a couple things. I think in terms of recruiting new participants, we're obviously not going to have a meaningful discussion tonight on that. But just so everyone's just aware of what the situation is, as I understand it, we've had 3 people very specifically tell us within the next 6 months or sooner they're going to be off the Energy Task Force. We've had 2 members that have not been to meetings for some time, and I have no idea what their plans are. I don't know if they know their plans, which leaves us with 2 people left who have not. Well, leaves us with 2 people left, assuming the 2.
We
who-
can't say, we were stuck. It looks like they've abandoned us and we were stuck rowing the boat.
So again, there's 2 people, we don't know what their status is, but the fact they haven't been here in a while is suggestive that their involvement probably won't be high in the future. So that's their situation. We don't have time to discuss what to do about it. We can probably put it on the agenda for our next meeting, but I think there's actions we can all take offline as well.
Yeah.
So that's enough on that. In terms of the long-term goals subcommittee, I did send out a draft report by email. Okay, it's 50 pages. Please don't be intimidated. As I said in the email, review selectively. I think what's most important is that we get at least somebody to look at the spreadsheets, because I did actually find a couple mistakes in them only a few days ago. Now, they weren't mistakes that would change our conclusions wildly or anything like that, but I'm sure there's errors in them, and there's obviously uncertainties. It's going to be ongoing, but it would be wonderful if somebody did take a look at those. But again, it's really up to you. I have sent it to a couple of other organizations that I've been talking to, like NEAP and MCAN. I don't know if we'll get more review from them or not. And the presentation to BOS will happen sometime in late May or June, but Tim will let me know. It's on his agenda to schedule that, and we'll try to give a broad update to the selectmen on everything we're doing. There'll be a lot to cover, so we'll have to be very selective there. The last thing I want to mention relates to Heat Smart. First of all, the free heat pump. The status is, for various reasons, none of the 4 candidates we had for Carlisle will work out to give away the heat pump. And I did ask people for other suggestions. We expanded this. I asked the other communities for suggestions. There was really 2 candidates. our brick house, which we had tried to get money for heat pumps from Green Communities, and we were turned down. So the brick house in Carlisle was a possibility. Codman Farms in Lincoln was another possibility, and I quite honestly had to agree that Codman Farms was a much better fit for a whole bunch of reasons. So we went ahead and offered at Codman Farms. The installer's going to be there tomorrow, and they've already gotten quotes for heat pumps, so they know what they're doing. They know why they're doing it. I think this is going to go through. So it is disappointing we didn't get it in Carlisle, but I think it's a really good installation. And anyway, enough about that for now. And then the last thing is on Saturday, June 8th, there will be a event at the Concord Carlisle High School for all three towns, Lincoln, Carlisle, Concord. Mostly focusing on heat pumps, including heat pump water heaters. It'll be an afternoon event. We don't have the exact hours set, but a couple hours, June 8th. And probably cover a little bit on weatherization and maybe a little bit on solar, but mostly on heat pumps and heat pump water heaters. And we would love to get a couple of Carlisle volunteers to help out with that. So I'll just put that out there. If you have any interest, please let me know.
My son is being married in North Carolina on that day. I don't think I'll make it.
Well, I guess we'll accept that excuse. Sorry we picked poorly by your calendar, but congratulations. So it's embarrassing that I always forget how to close out meetings. I've been doing this for how long now?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We need
You
a-
went
All in
from
favor.
8:10 to 9:09 really fast.
I recommend him for chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
Yes. How late were you in the meeting before last?
2
We need
o'clock.
a
No,
second.
you got to get a second.
We need
and
a
vote on
second
it.
and vote.
Gotta
Come
shut
on.
this one down. Come
Oh,
on.
sorry, I'll second it.
Any,
All agree.
all those in
All
favor?
agree, right.
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Clock.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.